Welcome everyone to another BitShares Open Agenda Hangout. Today is Saturday, July 28th, 2018. I'm OfficialFuzzy and I will be moderating today's discussion. As always, we start these open State of the Network Agenda Hangouts with the BitShares State of the Network report, followed by a community-sourced open agenda where you contribute to. We try to do this in a way where the community can bring up anything of interest that will enable us to remain at least somewhat unbiased and cover things in an unbiased way and insert things that might necessarily be popular into these hangouts that might be discussed or needed to be discussed, and also to provide something, a very important place for people who are doing cool things in the BitShares ecosystem to not have to pay and reward somebody to tell them to be able to promote themselves and what they're doing. So we try to do this every week. We have an open agenda. You can check it out on beta.whaleshares.net, and that would be at OfficialFuzzy. You'll see us posting there every week where you'll be able to actually sign up and participate directly from there. Now, with that said, we have an agenda for this week. And the agenda is as follows. We're going to go and cover the BitShares State of the Network report, the excerpt that has been given to us here by @SteemPower. Then we're going to open it up for blockchain to come on and discuss a worker proposal regarding the UX and UI redesign for BitShares. And then Taconator has a couple topics on worker proposal BitShares UI team, Russian, German, and French language translations, and the worker proposal Renewal to deploy and maintain independent BitShares infrastructure. So these are all coming up needing to be looked at. And of course, Taconator joins us every week with these and posts them here so everybody can see those in addition. So this is a great place to keep up. If you guys would like to hear more of this, check out the @OfficialFuzzy blog. And of course, if you'd like to read the BitShares State of the Network report, feel free to do so at SteemPower. Now, let me go ahead and get into the BitShares State of the Network excerpt for this week. Liquidity on the BitShares DEX has seen a good increase in the last 3 weeks, with a 5.41% this week, and 7.6% and 30% increase in prior weeks. Xerox has released a PSA regrading and recent successful upgrade that shares blockchain core software, with a shout out to the developers and witnesses for such a major milestone. You can find the announcement in the BitShares State of the Network report with the links provided. Up next is Stan Larimer and Michael X. Taggart are speaking at Block Crypto Conference in Brazil, September 25th and 26th, giving keynotes as well as panels for the 2 days. You can find out more info in the BitShares State of the Network report by following the provided link. Up after that is George Harrop at BitSpark, will be speaking at the Blockchain Summit Conference in Hong Kong on the 26th of July, and has provided another link in the BitShares State of the Network report. After that, Stan Larimer has released an appeal to the BitShares committee members in regard to management of the Hero Smart Coin. And this is after everything happened in terms of the change of ownership. You can find more information, the link provided on the BitShares State of the Network report. And then finally, Blocktivity has released the latest composition of the Bit20 and Twentix cryptocurrency index funds. On the 21st day of every month, an algorithm runs that creates the new composition from the top 20. You can find more details about the Bit20 composition in the link provided, and in Twentix with the link provided also at the BitShares State of the Network report. Now, with that said, I just want to thank everybody for joining up, and I wanted to let everybody we are going to be launching the whale shares chain here in the coming weeks. Leading up to that, there are a couple things that I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I did want to let you guys all know that I would like to just give you guys a quick heads up at the end of the show. So without further ado, though, I don't want to jump in front of anybody else, but I do want to thank everybody for helping make that possible, and we're going to have that for the BitShares community. Now, with that said, Blockchain is here, and he's going to be talking about the GrapheneLab collaboration with Rossoul and their worker proposal, which includes research, design, and implementation, and including a mobile client for BitShares. So with that said, Blockchain, are you able to step up to the plate and discuss this with us a little bit? Hello, silence, my old friend. Okay, well, it looks here, guys, like the worker proposal is, there's a link there in Discord. They have posted this here, and it says, BitShares users, many of you are probably wondering such an advanced blockchain not receiving the attention it deserves. How can one of the highest performing and efficient consensus algorithms as depots evoke nothing but skepticism from the general public concerning the lack of liquidity of decentralized markets for almost half a decade functioning on the BitShares DEX? Conducting comprehensive studies are not necessary to find an answer to this question. It is common knowledge that a complex and problematic registration process is the greatest deterrence that BitShares blockchain users face. If one does manage to overcome that obstacle, remaining an active user is just challenging. The current experience offered by BitShares blockchain is tedious, complicated, and difficult to navigate. And then they go in and they give the proposal here. They talk about their team. They talk about the plan to design a user-centered product that is something that they specialize in. And they provide links. I don't know them personally, so I would love to hear a little bit from Blockchain. Anybody can reach out to him and discuss to him on at Blockchain at steemit.com or on whaleshares beta.whaleshares.net. But it would be very interesting to hear a little bit more. This, I think, is an important thing that we've talked about in the past. Actually, I think it was last week with Cryptic. We discussed some of the importance of the mobile wallet. Where do you guys stand on the mobile wallet regarding this one? Recent, the one with Cryptic and their worker proposal plan to have a kind of a hackathon for a mobile wallet. Anybody have any thoughts on it? Do you guys have a preference on these things? Like, should it be a hackathon? Should it be a comprehensive BitShares UX and UI update? Any thoughts?
How secure is a mobile wallet?
Well, the good question there, I think, how secure is anything? Because mobile wallets, I know they've had some issues, but it depends on the operating too, right? Man, yeah, it's a good question. I would say that I don't think it would be much less secure than a computer, but obviously it depends on, just like a computer, how it's set up, If you're smart about it and you do it right, you can secure a lot of things. But even with that, there's backdoors built into them. So that's a bit of an interesting question, isn't it? I mean, we go back to William Binney saying that backdoors have been built into all this and that it was intentionally done, so it could be hacked. So I find myself wondering how many of these things and are 100% safe to be you. But that's a good question. I don't know that I'm the person to ask for the best answer, though. But I will give you my opinion on it. What I will say also, though, is I think that if we have, the majority of the world doesn't have a desktop computer, but they have a mobile, that's something to take into consideration for us if we want this to reach mass adoption. Does everybody sleep today? Are you guys still drinking your coffee? Yep.
Yeah, like on that topic about mobile too, like we've talked about that a lot even on EOSTalk with some of the dApps and stuff where they talk about mobile being more prolific, and that's why their platforms are mobile based, even like Ono and some of the others. So it would be good and beneficial for Bitshares to move that way.
It's something that many people, I think, are realizing. Bitshares in general should be considering doing those things. The question is how we do them, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, there's two different approaches here. You want one team to research and develop the UX and UI and add a mobile a mobile version as well, or do we want to have keep the current one and the current desktop version and have a hackathon for a mobile version that's white label? It's a good question. I think that all of the stuff would be probably white labeled, able to be white labeled and open sourced on this proposal too. I don't see anything saying that they didn't plan on that, but I would love to ask them. Maybe we can reach out to them.
I'm thinking the best approach is probably to keep like a small amount of crypto in your mobile wallet and then everything else sitting someplace more secure, right?
Oh, that sounds like a great idea to me. Like your bank is actually at your house, like a safe, or off someplace else that you remotely can connect to, but it's still like a vault for you that people can't access. And you just bring out what you need.
Yeah, totally. Then you can make mobile payments and, it's basically a mobile wallet, duh.
Yeah. Like I don't have more dollars at any. So it's kind of like the same thing. I'll carry around what I generally would. Never really give anybody the access to or an easy way of getting the information to the big savings. Okay, guys. Well, it looks like Taconator is not here either. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just this one as well. This is the Bitshares Bill Butler UI team. They are proposing up to 290,000 USD in theirs, and they have of course, bounties programs that they run. They have prioritization is bugs, low-hanging fruit, and application consistency. I know that they've been working on little things here and there for quite some time. I don't know if this is considered core, but maybe somebody here would be able to say whether it is or not regarding this. I would suspect that it's kind of in the level of being a core type of thing that we need. But I don't know if it's something that there's always a lot of bugs. It seems like there are from the GitHub, but how many of them are legitimately, and so forth is a good question. But Bill Butler has done a dang good job. Their team has been doing all that stuff. So they've done it for quite some time. I'll be interested to see what everybody thinks about it. I personally think that we spend money on development So these are the things that I think you should look at the most. On another note, Taconator posted something also about Russian, German, and French language translations that share State of the Network report. And SteemPower added on 2 other ones, which is Polish and Chinese. So the BitShares State of the Network report presently, it has 5 different languages is getting out to the hand. So that's a great deal, especially considering that some of these languages like Chinese and Russian, German, obviously, or those are people speak English too, but you never know. There might still be some people who speak German and French who need to know about this stuff and don't know enough English to do that. I suspect there are. Polish, anybody who has any interest in adding a translation to the BitShares State of the Network report, I would urge you guys to consider doing so. Now, with that said, I think we've covered that. The BitShares deploy and maintain independent BitShares infrastructure. Does anybody have anything to bring up regarding this? This is a freelancer project that has the estimated fees are approximately 14,000 USD and 19,000 in estimated expenses. Basically, they're just wanting to do the faucet, continue with the API nodes, the testnet ones, new public uptime tracking tool, continuing to support the automation of Docker, new Elasticsearch BitShares nodes for public use, plan, organize, and run testnet. Stress test. This stuff, I think, has been all paid for quite some time out of pocket. So this would be something that might be very worth it to continue helping with. No, this is a renewal proposal. My apologies. This just is up for renewal. So we're going to need to look at that as a community. Please consider looking at it and voting on this proposal. Or giving, of course, credit to the people who act as proxies like Fav, who might go ahead and then vote there for you.
У тебя есть доступ туда? Сейчас я проверю.
Hello, go ahead. Fav said, yeah, I figured you. One of the interesting tasks is preparing and running the stress test. Yeah, Taco, glad that we're running a stress test on this. I think that this is something that often. We do it occasionally, but it's very difficult to get people coordinated around it. But as people can see, the stress tests have given us some pretty good results and some very important metrics to be able to show people in the past. I think if we could beat past records with stress tests, that would be like PR events. You know what I mean? We could even have like community events around it. We've got a bunch of people typing. Cryptic and Taconator both have. Okay, recently okay. Cryptic says another analogy for how secure is your front door is the front door of your house. How do you put 1, 2, 3? Now, ultimately, there are things you consider: check the windows, get a dog, live in a good neighborhood, have a camera security system. So yes, mobile wallets are safe enough. You do need to back up phones as they fall in lakes, etc. Generally, Android is not very secure or not totally secure. Alex brought up, this is all regarding the mobile development, it seems. One of the biggest issues coming up with mobile wallets are unofficial rogue versions with backdoors. And I believe that has happened with Android. And yeah, obviously you can get onto those marketplaces and still have everything isn't always guaranteed safe. So that's something very important to take into consideration. And it's also, I think, something very important to take into consideration why we should be sure to have at least one BitShares funded open source project that is completely open source and able to be looked over and made sure that there's nothing else in there that doesn't need to be there, right? Because if you're a newbie, you want to be safe as you can, every way you can without extra difficulty. Taconator said recently the mainnet did the stress test results. That's great news. I know that when we saw on not CoinMarketCap, I don't even know why I said CoinMarketCap. It's Blocktivity.info. When I saw that we were measuring operations and we were seeing that over 4 million operations a day when it first started, I was just like, my God, that's like it hits you to realize that even though it seems like there's, it could definitely be more transactions on the network. Love that. It's still, in terms of the blockchain space, by far and away a leader. If you were in the Olympics and you were running a race and far ahead as BitShares is, and they didn't give you the gold medal, they would all look like dumbasses. I don't know how else to say it, but it's pretty much, I mean, I think that it's a pretty fair analogy in terms of in terms of blockchain functionality and ability. Well, another good thing is that we have for the backups and things like that. EasyDex has a backup system that they're going to open source for everybody to be able to use to have account recovery. So that's a good thing, and that might be something that everybody can then start using in the BitShares ecosystem. Yeah, John Robert, crypto hasn't safe. That's one of the interesting things, right? You have these keys, and that's what you have that in trouble. And if you've ever worked in an office, in order to remember even everyday passwords for services where they can't their accounts easily, they would still, put up Post-it notes with their password stuff. And it's like, most people, I think, might have that fear that, if I lose my bank account because it's all there, in a wallet somewhere, and I forget my password, I'm screwed, or lose it. I'm screwed. I think a lot of people kind of do have those concerns. People have keys, but often just keep a spare by playing. So true. So true. Well, we're only 24 minutes in. Does anybody have it? I mean, it might be a short one, but I don't mind. Some things are going to be busier than others. Okay, so, well, real quick, if you guys don't mind, I'll wait on. Make sure you got something that we can cover, man. Okay, so real quick, just wanted to let everybody hear. There is a update that I provide here just quickly before we go to the after party. I'm going to provide it in here. This is the announcement that we posted on it. And let me go ahead and post the other one where this is .whaleshares.net site as well. So I'll get the whaleshares.net site is going to slightly different to have it running, where essentially we're going to change a few things on it, and we're going to move forward as a community with a community fund, essentially build out and improve upon it. But I wanted to announce the snapshot date for people who are holding the tokens. I wanted to make sure, because I don't promote this, I did want to give this away to the community, and I have a team who wanted to work with the community because they've been working with the shares community for so long. And the snapshot share drop date is going to, or the share drop snapshot is going to be Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, which is, of course, this year. That is when we're going to take the snapshot. Just going to say, if you have a Whale Shares token, if you have BitShares tokens or Brownie yes, we will take a snapshot of all those people holding those tokens, and we will distribute 10% of the tokens, of the W tokens, and during the launch of the pre-launch, the open beta. We're going to be giving you 2.1 million tokens to Brownie ATS, 2.1 million tokens or 10% to Whale Shares, and 70% to BitShares, as well as a Satoshi 10 drop, 10% to the development team who's launching, planning on improving it. So the process for verifying, claiming your WLS will be announced with the pre-launch beta. WLS claimed by the share drop will be applied to your Whale Shares account as Whale Stake, which is what will be used to give you the mana that you share thing. I just wanted to let you guys all know that is the announcement of the snapshot date. The full launch will be actually September 1st, about a month from now. We will make sure that we will have the power down. That will be available approximately a month after. So for the first month, you guys will power downs. You will, after Whale Shares, the snapshot is taken for Whale Shares. The Whale Share tokens that you guys have for participating in initiatives, and those tokens will be as a means of getting like a ticket to get early access into the beta during this time. So if you guys want to get access to it or get somebody else access to it, you will be able to use those Whale Shares to either use them yourself for accounts, or you'll be able to give them to people who you think are beneficial and going to add value to the BitShares and Whale Shares chains, because the Whale Shares chain is coming from a bunch of BitShares people. And to be frank, we have the Whale Shares code that has been made available, and it has been tested for a little bit over. So we have this here as something that everybody can use. It's been tested, and it's going to work directly on BitShares, and it's going to help people on the Whale Shares chain be able to reward people doing things that are valuable in terms of cross-platform synergy. So just wanted to talk about that. We will have the Whale Shares initial white paper. It will be a fork it and keep moving forward with it and saying what they think they'd like, community kind of way. But we will have an initial one for everybody to read over. And of course, I will put things on my blog that I don't put on the white paper, because I want them to be announced directly on the Wheelshares chain. So with that said, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining up today, and I want to thank everybody for being part of this since we started. It has been a long trek. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the space, and I want to thank everybody here who has participated today or signed something that they thought that we needed to cover. And that's what we do this here, is sure that we are here to cover something that might not otherwise get covered. If you think something is important, make sure to sign up. Make sure to RSVP. You don't even have to speak. As you can see, I will speak and talk about it for you guys if you think it's something important to talk about. So just make sure that if you think something is important or somebody is doing something good, to RSVP them or to post something for us to discuss about. And you will get rewarded. Now, with that said, does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up before we close down for the day?
Hello.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
finally. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was having trouble with my microphone. So my name's Eli. I'm with Rossoul, so I would be glad to walk you through the proposal and answer any of the potential questions if we still have time.
Oh, of course. But which proposal are we talking about?
We're talking about Rossoul and GrapheneLab joint proposal.
Oh, okay. So
it was
are you the representative today for that?
Yeah, I'm with Rossoul.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and add you. And we opened it up earlier, and I discussed it a little, but the GrapheneLab in collaboration with Rossoul are announcing their work proposal. So why don't you go ahead and step up and let everybody know a little bit of an introduction about yourself and the worker proposal. Go ahead and get into and kind of help people who are newbies who are interested in find out a little bit more.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And once again, I apologize. I heard you introduced us some 20 minutes ago, but I couldn't figure out how to. I don't know, probably some bug on my desktop client. Anyway, I was trying to talk, but my voice wasn't getting through. So finally, I moved to the mobile client, and now it seems to be much better. Okay, so speaking of the proposal, so my name's Eli Kanaki, and I'm with Rossoul. Rossoul is a strictly UX and UI design company. We've been around since 2003, which makes it, 15 years. And we're based in Canada, Toronto, namely. And we specialize in mobile and web apps, user interfaces for enterprise level and B2B applications. So we specialize in the complex workflows and very diverse user base. And this is all what we do. We don't do graphic design. We don't do anything else. We strictly focus on UX and UI. So speaking of the proposal, and the whole idea of this proposal started probably about a year ago when we started ourselves using Bitshares, and then we experienced the certain troubles registering, then using, and it's like many things in the UI make it make it hard for users to use the service to its fullest. And after using it for about a year, and after meeting the GrapheneLab about a couple of months ago, we came up with a joint proposal that we believe is going to greatly benefit the community and will make Bitshares much more accessible for day-by-day users, as well as all the workflows can be greatly optimized, and the simplified, optimized, and the whole product can be much, much easier and user-friendly. So that was the idea behind the proposal. So the proposal itself consists of, I believe, three main parts. First is the research, then the design phase, and then the implementation phase. So let me tell you a few words about how I would like to structure each of these three parts. So the proposal usually starts from us discussing the goals, and we intend to make it all in public. That means we'll set up a special website, and we'll we'll analyze the current UI. We'll put down any things that we believe needs to be improved or somehow adjust any issues. We'll make it public. We'll then after that we'll discuss it as much as we can. Probably we'll join a couple of like weekly meetings like that, and if we are to start the project, then we can host like weekly sessions with updates to the members of the community about the process. But the research starts from understanding, from well, making sure that everybody understands and we all agree on the goals. Then after that, we'll look into the users. We'll analyze the current user base. We'll probably analyze the stats and some logs. After that, we'll create user personas. And based on the personas, we will create information architecture and workflows. And then based on the workflows, we'll start creating screens, which are called wireframes. They're usually black and white representation of each screen. And when we do it, we use an online service called InVision, which allows us to connect all screens. And you'll be able, or any member of the community will make the link public, will be able to click through the prototype. It's still not going to be fully functional application, and not every function is going to work, but we will help you to envision the main workflows and experience them. So once this is done, then we usually have a session of testing. So we test, we'll come up with a user story, then we'll hire a couple of people as testees. We'll let them complete the tasks, and that can be volunteers from the community as well. We'll ask them to complete the task. We'll observe their behavior. Then, based on that, we'll make changes to the wireframes, and then as the final stage, as the final part of the design stage, we'll apply the look and feel, which is called skin, and then at the end of this phase, we'll have a prototype which is going to look and is going to have all the workflows almost exactly as the final product. And then, so this is the final phase of the design. And then after that, GrapheneLab will take care over, and they will create front-end code, back-end, well, probably make some changes on the back-end. I know there are a couple of features that are in the core engine, but never been implemented. So I believe they're considering implementing them as well. And then once this is done, we're going to have a new version of the Bitshares Exchange user interface, which is going to be much more intuitive, which is going to be much simplified, which is going to be much more device-friendly, platform-friendly, and overall will provide much better user experience. This is in a nutshell. So any questions? Hello?
Can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. Okay, so it shows here, it's bitshares.rossoul, which is ROSSUL.com. Everybody can go there and see the proposal. And at the bottom, you guys, or in the middle, you guys have the project milestones before you have the pricing and everything.
Of course.
Yeah, so it looks like August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so
right.
We've got 3 months that you guys think that this should be 3 to 4 months that you should have it done, somewhere around there.
Yep, that's right.
And is this something that you guys feel like pretty comfortable about, given your experience?
Oh, more than comfortable. We actually would really like to, to be part of that redesign project, as well as we have a great experience with financial industry. We designed interfaces for JP Morgan. We just, last week we started our negotiation with Huobi, and you probably know this is Chinese stock exchange. We designed for numerous banks, PNC Bank in America, Scotia Bank, and RBC Bank in Canada. We designed online and mobile interfaces for online banking. So we feel pretty comfortable that we have a lot to contribute to BitShares community, and that we would be happy to do so.
Do you guys have any links to those previous projects that people could look at and say, "Wow, if this is what BitShares looks like, I'm in"?
We probably will not be able to show how BitShares will look like, because that would be a result of the design process. We're going to take us, half a year roughly. But we can, everybody is welcome to visit Rossoul.com/portfolio, and then we have many examples, those that we can show in public, because financial sector, as you perfectly know, sometimes it's sensitive, and we design for numerous hedge funds and we have NDAs, so we can't show that. For example, JP Morgan, we cannot show in public. I'll put it in our portfolio. But if anybody of you specifically interested, I'm fine to schedule a dedicated session and show you what we've done for them, but we'll not be able to put it on a public link.
Of course. And kind of what I was really wanting to see is you guys are pretty much what you were talking about with regard to the portfolio option.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So they can go see what some samples of what it might look like, or what past projects that are open for anybody.
Of course. Yes. As I mentioned, we've been around for 13 years, and we completed a total of, I think we almost at 500 projects. So, we feel very confident. And we have, by the way, are you familiar with Clutch, B2B review website service? We have, I believe the link is now in our proposal, but Clutch conducts independent reviews of B2B-oriented companies, and the way they do it, we have a profile on Clutch, and we give them contact details of our customers, and they conduct an independent interview. They don't have any say in that. They actually schedule it, and they talk to our customers for about 30-40 minutes, and based on that, they publish their review. So, and our score is really high. So it's mostly 5. It is 5-star. I believe it's like 4.98 or something like that.
And under the project costs, you guys have design, which is research, right? Mm-hmm. You have design of the desktop version and the mobile version. Mm-hmm. UI components and project management, obviously, all that goes together into a price tag of $116,820. So $116,820.
That's right.
The second half, which is the half that a lot of times people forget, that you've got the research and the documentation, and that's been something that we've all had. Thankfully, we've fixed a lot of that stuff to a degree over time, but as a decentralized project, the documentation and all that stuff has been something that it would be nice to have more. So it's nice to see that. A development implementation of primary interfaces, transfer of existing object, development of new functionality. What new functionalities do you think that might need to be added? Do you guys have any way of giving us some examples on that?
The new Okay, go ahead. Dennis, go ahead.
My name is Dennis. My English is not so good, but I'll try to explain.
Sounds great, buddy. You sound better than I would ever speak your language, I assure you.
My name is Dennis. I'm CEO of GrapheneLab, and you should know our main partners. It's called Rudix and Blockchain team. We started from this team, and maybe 1 year ago understand that we can develop something, because we have few developers And our first project was Karma, that made on Bitshares fork, P2P lending. And after a year, we understand that we want to work for a community with projects that already exist and already work like Bitshares, because we all love Bitshares. And what about new features? Actually, think about something like stealth transaction. We saw that from 2016, I think, nobody tried to do it, like usual stealth transactions. And we already made it for one project, but we can't talk about it. But we know how to work, what we should do with it, and we have a few ideas what to do with not only front end and back end, and maybe some course features, because the main part of our team is core developers, and we all, not all, actually, not me, but all our developers work on strictly confidential projects for governance, and now they want to work for blockchains. And I think that we will do our best for it.
So you guys are going to be able to offer certain extra things. Like, could you give any, like, just a couple extras as far as that? What you think, like, for instance, one thing that I've thought about sometimes is like, there are certain things like, what if I want to send to multiple people? You know, that would be.
Oh, yes.
Things like these are questions that I guess I'm just getting to them because they're like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the type of thing I think would very much help. But I know that there are many other things that I'm sure you guys have probably identified. So I just kind of wanted to maybe ask on that one. And then, of course, if you have any other.
I totally agree with you with multiple transactions for a lot of people, because it's much cheaper and very useful for business. And as we see, we want to integrate some special features, but some features we will ask community to bring to us maybe some ideas of what they really want. And we will do it. I think we will do it. About multiple, yes, we think about stealth, we think about API nodes, try to do it better for some explorers and wallets and so on. So we have a lot of ideas after years working on Bitshares, because there are some problems that we could check and fix it. And we in contact with some core developers, our core developers in dev chats, and maybe you remember in this spring, Karma, our partners and projects, made some issues about Graphene that have maybe some problems, that they think that it have some problems, and some of them really needed to fix it. And we have idea how to fix it, but in Karma we already we wouldn't do it on Karma because we don't work with them now, but in the Bitshares I hope we will have it.
Well, I think that this is a very...
Yes, I think about...
Okay, so real quick, this would be open sourced after completion, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, of course. So totally open.
So it would be available for all the different DEXs that want to build on Bitshares to be able to use this code to build their own DEX, or to have their own front end interface for that DEX, rather.
I think it will be totally open source because.
Yep.
I don't
I
know.
just want to make it clear for the newbies that
It would be scratch made from scratch, and it will be open sourced. So we wouldn't use today's. We will use, I don't know how to say English, what we have now, and we will make it from scratch.
Well, I won't lie. It does look like you guys have some chops in the front end development skills from the portfolio I'm looking at, and it even says that you guys were ranked among the top in Canada.
Yeah, we are.
So I will say that I really am pumped about you guys bringing this up. Personally, I think that for and it being open sourced and being available for anybody to build on afterwards, and having documentation and having everything in a nice, sweet little package.
Right.
I don't know how I say anything bad about it, to be honest with you.
I can even tell a little bit more. So the way we work, we're going to design a components library. That means that is going to be used by GrapheneLab, but that means down the road, if any of the community developers or any company would like to expand the functionality of the Bitshares or add some additional features, they will be able to easily use the same library, and the library will consist of some guidance how to use and work with these different components. So, yeah, well, me personally, I've been running a software house for many years. So one of the things about Rossoul that sets us apart from other design companies, we really think and operate as much more as a software house as opposite to a design agency. And that means we use Jira, we work on sprints, and when we design exactly with the same mindset as the any user interface element is going to be coded. And our files even structured the same way as CSS and HTML. And that allows us to really be efficient in our work with transferring the designs to the developers, and then the results are usually pixel perfect. And everything that we design can be easily expanded. So we sort of establish a base, and then that base is going to be good at least for the next 7-10 years.
So there can be further development based on it. That
correct.
It's open sourced. It's easy to build on top of.
Correct. You will not run into any dead ends. Like things such as well, we need to introduce another feature, but really don't know where to put it, because when we design, we establish a user interface and interaction logic. And then following this logic, for any developers, it is going to be crystal clear if they need to add a new feature, where this feature is going to go. And it's going to be crystal clear for users where to find it. This is the whole trick. Like when we talk inside the company, we say that to win the users, we need two things. We need to be, when they use the software, they need first to, with the software, to be more productive than without it. And they must feel smart about themselves. And this is, if we achieve these two, that's it. All users are ours, and the UX is really positive. The second one, which is feel smart about themselves, it's a bit tricky, but it's very achievable if you think about it. So, and that boils down to things such as we should prevent users from making mistakes. We should leverage the existing mental models and leverage on the previous experience. And that means we have to put features where the users expect these features to be. And then they put all that in a nicely packaged, really appealing user interface, and they start interacting. They will feel that it's easy, that UI is clean, that it's really easy to find what they're looking for. And if somebody from their family acts in the UI, it's still going to be easy for them. And that all that constitutes about good feeling about oneself, because they feel smart using. It's all easy. They don't do mistakes. They can achieve tasks 5 times faster than they used to be. And this is exactly what UX is about. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I know from my own experience, I've had to teach people who I know are technically inclined to use BitShares. So coming from the standpoint of somebody who's had to teach people, and obviously from somebody who's learned myself from me how to use it, it's one of those things where I cannot disagree with any of this. I think it's one of the most important things for people to feel comfortable and confident when they're using this tool, especially considering that it's their money that they're going to be looking at holding on there.
Of course.
Now, real quick, one question that I would have is, it says here in the research, it shows the technical functional requirements, competitors and field study, analysis and interview, user research and personas. And that adds up to approximately $12,000, $12,100 actually, right? Or 13,100. So, would there be any way of having that paid for first, and like having milestones where they're each paid for, in the case that the community might want to see some progress first, or see something like that, like in the research phase, what you guys have come to conclude? You know what I mean? Like I see it as like analysis and interviews. Those are going to be like, that's going to be analyzing and asking people what needs to be improved, what they think are improved.
Well, to a certain degree. Allow me to elaborate on that. So, we're going to distribute, when we how we usually structure research, we distribute questionnaires, and we ask users and stakeholders to fill them out. And we have a stakeholder questionnaire, we have user persona questionnaire, etc. So, and then we analyze the responses, and then based on that, we schedule interviews. Now, when you talk to potential user base or to stakeholders, it's really important what to ask. And we make sure we never ask things such as what would they like to do, how would they like it to be designed or function, etc., etc., because that creates random answers. Asking how is really not that productive. What we focus on understanding what right now is hard for users. What are the pitfalls, right? What upsets them? What bugs them? What is annoying? What are repetitive tasks that we can improve? That sort of stuff. And then based on that, we can offer the solution. So, and speaking of the teaching experience, I teach UX at University of Toronto, and I'd say about a quarter of my class is about the research, and there are many different methodologies how we can do that. But here in Rossoul, during the last 7 years, we actually created quite an cost-efficient, and I'd say relatively fast way to figure out the problems and come up with a really cost-effective solution to these problems.
Have you guys gone over the GitHub at all yet and seen some of the issues that have been posted there?
Yeah, and there are plenty of issues, and some of them more important, some of them less important. But it's to be frank, there is lots of things that we can improve and should be improved, whether by our team or somebody else, it doesn't matter. But the current UI and current workflows, they can be greatly optimized.
Sure. Well, I like the proposal. The only thing that I'm thinking is how it might help you guys. To maybe be able to show some things that you guys like, maybe do that initial stage where you get the community's input on things that need to be fixed and improved upon too.
Sure. The only problem, the only potential problem that I see, this research phase, it will result in certain documentation, Excel files, and certain analysis, right? So it will not have anything visual. Visual starts after that. So once the research is done and once we understand who we design and what we design, and once we agreed on the success metrics for the project, once we all know and publish documents about how we're going to measure success, what are the important metrics, what are we going to measure, number of clicks, well, I'm not sure we need to go as far as eye fixations, but say workflows or certain time spent on certain tasks. Once we all agreed on what we would like to achieve, after that, we'll start crafting workflows. Then based on, and workflows is still going to be diagrams, which might be quite hard to read for general public. And then once we design the workflows, and we move on to the actual wireframes, which are layouts of the screens, and we start connecting them, here is when you start seeing the results of the research process, of the information architecture process. But before that, it's all going to be just documents. But we're fine to share my canvas in public and share any stage that community might find useful to have a look at.
Well, I'm very interested in it personally, but that might not really carry enough weight to do much. So I guess what I would say is, in my opinion, to increase the chances of getting it, which is I would want to increase your chances of getting it if this is indeed what you guys do, and it looks great. If that's the case, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, I would say bringing it, maybe being able to be charged for that initial phase where you identify those things and maybe put those on a list to show people, and actually, if the community gave that feedback, that gives them, that makes them a little bit more invested in it already, because now you're doing, now you're asking them to vote for something that they wanted in the first place. You know what I mean? So
of course.
That's my opinion. Obviously, take it or leave it, but I think that might help a lot in the community and also help them to kind of understand what they're going to get out of the deal.
Exactly. And like what you say makes perfect sense. So yeah, that's a really good idea.
Well, ask my wife. Occasionally I have them. Occasionally. I say that they're always there, but well, thank you guys for joining up for discussing, and I'm glad that you got your mic working. This was going to be a short hangout, but what you guys have brought up is, I think, something extremely important for us to look at. And I liked the other thing that we were talking about last week with the hackathon kind of thing for the mobile wallet. This comes with, I'm not going to lie, if this comes with all those things and a mobile wallet too, and it's from a company that's got a very strong track record for amazing user interfaces, I just don't see how we turn this down. That's my take.
Right. And then last week, what company is that? Hello?
Excuse me? Are you talking
Yeah.
Rossoul, the portfolio that you guys
okay.
GrapheneLab that's working together? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is this going to be, this is a partnership between GrapheneLab and Rossoul, correct?
That's right. Yeah. GrapheneLab will take care of the coding and integration with the backend engine, as well as crafting new features. And obviously, before we start design, we'll discuss these new features. So we'll design it. We'll design workflows, the user interface, interaction, the overall user experience, and then they implement it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Taconator says for the whole thing is very reasonable. I cannot disagree. I think that this is something that, but what really makes me pumped up about it is that it's going to be open sourced and that people will be able to easily build on top of it because it has a solid foundation. And I think that's one of the most important things that we do building any house, right?
Yep, that's the point.
So to me, I think this is one of those things with potential exponential returns. I like it. Yeah, it will run in desktop too, Fav. At least from what you guys said on your site.
Right.
That is correct. Right?
Yeah. And one more reason actually established a partnership for this project, mostly out of the belief that, everybody has to do what they do best. And Rossoul is a UX design company, right? We don't write backend code, and all our designers, they actually graduated designers with diploma. Me, myself, I have master's degree in applied arts, and then another designer, she also has master's degree, and third one also master's degree, and then a couple of BAs. But we're all designers. We're not developers turned designers. We people that spent all our lives designing. And I started designing for I've been designing for it's not even the right word. Let's say for some 30 years, and I've never done anything else in my lifetime designing. I really love it. And then, but we have GrapheneLab that is exactly in the same shoes, but on the development side. So they do what they do best, and we do what we do best. And we're not going to cut any corners on this project, as on any others for that matter.
Fab has one question for you here. He said, are you aware of the security needs? Like, you will not be able to cross-load scripts and etc.?
This is for Dennis, right?
Yep, I think so. Our developers actually work only for high security projects, so I think we will do everything good with security. And if there will be some problems or something that we can't understand, someone will ask people who know it, because we do it for community, not actually for only one or for us.
If I may, I think in the beginning of the project, we can identify a couple of stakeholders from the community that can have certain knowledge in certain areas, and then any decisions security-wise as well, we can run by them and make sure that everybody's on board with what's going to happen.
I think it's a part of research that would be stuff.
Well, personally, I look forward to it. I hope that you guys will come back and give us some updates and continue letting us know and informing people if you don't get the votes to proceed with this. I personally, whether you do or not, honestly, I'd love people to know that. But I really love what you guys are planning on doing. I think it's very important that we have something that's professionally designed and just knocks it out of the park and acts as a solid foundation. Everything we've done has been pretty good considering that it's been a decentralized thing. But if you build on a decentralized platform more easily, which if this does what you guys are saying it will, and that's the case, I think that's exponential returns. That's my take on it. Making easy for users, that's even more exponential returns. I don't see how we go wrong on that. You obviously have my thoughts on it. There might be people who think it's too much and might want to see exactly, or have input on what needs to be changed or fixed before paying the full thing. But other than that, that's the only thing I can think of that might be something that really gets in your way. I don't see anybody disagreeing with this proposal. It really carries a lot of weight when you look at your portfolio, to me.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for joining up. How would people contact you guys if they would like to reach out?
We have a contact form in our proposal website, which is hosted on the bitshares.rossoul.com. And we had some DNS issue this morning, but it has been fixed, and it's going to be fully accessible in probably a matter of a couple of hours. We just need to waiting for DNS to spread. And then there is a contact form, and anybody can fill out the form, ask a question, and we'll do our best to reply ASAP.
Okay, so use the contact form on bitshares.rossoul.com.
Right.
And Rossoul spelled Rossul for those.
That's right.
Okay, and you guys, Ken Code is asking if you have a Telegram group.
Yeah. I have my own personal Telegram, but I think I will open a sort of company account. We don't use it internally. We use Slack mostly. So I'll open a Rossoul Telegram account and post it in this chat, I guess.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining up, and thank you for everybody who
Thank you.
participates in these events. Make
Okay.
sure, everybody, that you take the information that comes here openly and share it to people, because you are the source of helping to distribute this knowledge and the information that you gain from these. So if you're listening to this after the fact, or you're joining up live, feel free to share our content when we post it. Let people know. You can even download and edit it if you want to. It's available for being downloaded and edited, so you can even cut out parts that you think are important and post them under your own profile or whatever you want to do. I just want to have a place where, unlike in most places in crypto where you have to pay to talk about what you want to do, I think we can do better. I'm not saying that we can't make money for doing this stuff, but I think that we can make it in better ways. Now, with that said, thank you guys very much for attending. Thank you for being around for all of this time since the beginning of BitShares. Things are getting interesting indeed, and I look forward to watching what wakes up to what we've known for 5 years. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you at your party.
Okay, so